on the SWIFT announcement. I'm going to read verbatim what he sent out to shareholders and other people that are on Ripple's cap table. He said, in other headlines, SWIFT announced it has built a prototype for a blockchain-based shared ledger to be added to its infrastructure stack, initially focusing on real-time 24/7 cross-border payments. I've received a number of questions this week about this and what it means for the industry and Ripple. Frankly, it made me realize that I haven't shared enough recently about the thoughts I have around who we view as our core competitors. And perhaps I will spend some time on the competitive landscape in an upcoming note. I digress. It's true, in the early days, we did view SWIFT as a major competitor, but the reality is, in the time it's taken for them to announce a prototype, we've been building robust digital asset infrastructure, expanding on our payments product to custody, or from our payments product to custody, stablecoins, and development on the XRPL and more with recent acquisitions. Also, we've dug in to the SWIFT news, and it really seems more like a marketing play in the lead up to their annual conference, Sibos, rather than an actual meaningful product announcement. So there you go, from the CEO at Ripple. And you can take that with a grain of salt. You know, he is the CEO at Ripple, so you know, he has a certain agenda and belief in their product and solution over competitors in the market. So that's Brad Garlinghouse speaking. I'll say my piece. Again, prototype or 13-year track record with no downtime other than a couple pauses, and a bunch of other infrastructure that's already been scaled on top of it with multiple participants already using the network to be able to settle transactions. I'm pretty confident they're going to go with the latter. I'm pretty sure that they're going to have to work with what everybody else has already chosen rather than, you know, trying to skimp things along and get things into, you know, these institutions last minute here. Seems like I'm going to agree with Brad, probably more of a marketing play. They obviously are looking at settlement technology for SWIFT. And, well, if there's something that has legal clarity here in the US and also has enough liquidity in it, I think they might use that.
Good morning, everybody. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of your favorite crypto news related channel. And today, I apologize for running 20 minutes late, guys. We got repairmen at the house. I was at the Patriots game last night, but believe me, we have a very special episode prepared, starting with the title that you all are reading on today's show. Vanguard is adding XRP as well as a plethora of ETFs for over 50 million clients. And if you're unfamiliar with who Vanguard is, they are the second largest asset manager inside the United States with $11 trillion in assets under management. We also got some really exciting news out of the Fed last night, where Jerome Powell announced that they are done with quantitative tightening and they will begin quantitative easing here inside the United States. This is another wave of liquidity, as over $1.5 billion was implemented into the American economy last night. And these are many of the updates that I'm going to take you all through today. If you look at some of the daily price action, guys, it's optimistic, right? This is how the crypto market works. If you're just getting here, if you're new to this market, a lot of times this volatility can be overwhelming, but it's the veterans in our community that understand. Just one or two headlines completely changes the momentum of the market today. And what I'm seeing with Bitcoin and what I'm seeing with XRP is exactly what's necessary. Now, someone said, sounds like a bunch of excuses, Abs. Guys, can't be a bunch of excuses because those are catalysts, my friend. We're going to start breaking it down. It's going to be an exciting episode. I did see you had the Superman picture in chat, so shout out to Superman out there. We do already have 1,800 live listeners here, over 1,100 watching on YouTube. If you're excited about this content, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and buckle in because this journey is just getting started here in 2025. I also have a brand new clip that I'm going to show you from SEC Chairman Paul Atkins, where he is calling for crypto market regulation in the first quarter of 2026, meaning the Clarity Act will be passed. And someone said there will be another dump soon. Exactly, guys. There will be another dump soon. And it's not a make or break moment for the crypto market. As we're looking at some of these altcoins today, if we're able to hold these ranges until the end of the week, it could start getting very exciting. And I'm going to cover that during today's show. But just to briefly address some of the daily movers for today, Bitcoin trading at $91,000. Yes, you're hearing that correct. Yesterday, we were trading as low as $84,000. We are already back above $90,900 today. Ethereum back over $3,000. XRP trading at about $2.14. Now, it got dark yesterday for the XRP investors, the newer investors at least. They were nervous. They were scared. They were blowing up crypto Twitter. But what did the veterans do? We doubled down. I told you guys on air yesterday, I upped my dollar cost average at $1.99. I said it. I'm like, when we see this reduction in prices, I don't get scared out of the market. I double down on the assets that I understand. And somebody said, Abs, you should explain quantitative tightening versus quantitative easing, the difference real quick so people know. Well, the Federal Reserve has a balance sheet. When they're in quantitative tightening, they're reducing that balance sheet. When they're in quantitative easing, they are adding assets to that balance sheet. And that's great for all American markets, including the crypto market, which I'm going to dive into today. Now, I just realized I got to add this episode to our playlist. So if you'll just bear with me for about 15 seconds so our users don't miss this on YouTube, I just got to go to my settings, quickly add this to our playlist, and bada bing, bada boom, we are ready to rock and roll for today. So I want to say a big thank you for your patience this morning. Someone said, Abs, why are you late? Listen, I'm a human being. We're all flawed, my friends. And typically I like to live a little, 2 to 3 minutes late. That's okay. I like to roll that way, but 10, 15 minutes late, those are exceptional circumstances. Like I said, I was at the Patriots, got home at about 1 a.m., had the repair guy show up today, fixing the heater, whole bunch of stuff. You guys know how it is. You're human beings. You live live too. So with that being said, we love and appreciate you all. And let's begin diving into the exciting topics that we have prepared for today. Now, we've been very focused on these ETFs. And once again, we got major news in regards to an XRP ETF being added to Vanguard. I want to give a special thank you to this donation here. The Average Golfers of Idaho. I remember this guy, loved the dips, was able to lock in my year and accumulation goals. Time to increase my goal. Shout out to you. Thank you for the $5 and the donation, my friend. The truth is, guys, these are the opportunities that people look back on a couple of years from now, and they always say the same thing. I wish I bought more. I wish I doubled down. I wish I took advantage of that dip. And even if you're looking at the XRP or the Bitcoin price chart, we can just have fun and go with the Bitcoin price chart for the time being. This morning alone, this piece of data should shock our community, guys. Do you know what the volume was in the first 2 hours of BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF this morning? It was over $1.8 billion for BlackRock's ETF volume alone. Let me say that again. 1.8 billion in the first 2 hours for BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF alone. Then we have the price up $6,000. We also have the Fed quantitative easing. We also have Raoul Pal talking about the interest rates and how the debt cycle was extended into the first quarter of 2026. These aren't narratives. This isn't speculation. These are actual catalysts that we're waiting for to see how they impact some of our favorite assets, including Bitcoin. Now, very brief macro analysis on the Bitcoin price chart. You don't have to be a genius to figure this stuff out, guys. What are we looking at? We're looking at a higher high and a higher low and a higher high and a higher low and a higher high. And if we close here and we're on our way bottoming up, about to create new all-time highs, we just created a new higher low on the Bitcoin price chart. Now, again, it's choppy. It's uncertain territory. People typically realize their gains in December to capitalize on some of the taxes that they're going to have to pay. December's not historically that bullish of a month. But what do we know? October and November are historically the most bullish months for all digital assets, and both of them were bearish in 2025. So clearly we're going through something different here. Our community understands this. Broader markets, they're still figuring it out. And someone said, Abs meant Vanguard, I think. No, I meant BlackRock. BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF did $1.8 billion worth of volume in 2 hours. That's the highest amount of volume we've ever seen for this product. Now, I am going to break down the Vanguard news. Don't get me wrong, but I just wanted to preface kind of the market sentiment, let some of our listeners roll in, and provide that optimism, guys, that once again, it's so easy to sell the fear in this market. A lot of people do that. When prices are pumping, they share one thing. When prices are going down, they share another. That's not how I like to do it on our show. I am an optimist. I'm a realist. And I'm a bullish investor. Sorry. I'm betting on these prices going higher over the next couple of years. And people say, put your money where your mouth is. That's exactly what we do here in the Good Evening Crypto community. So shout out to you all. We did already pass 404 likes on today's episode. If you're enjoying this content, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, let us know some of your thoughts in chat. And I do want to give a special shout out and thank you to the over 240 members of the Good Evening Crypto community. Now, brief XRP price chart analysis. this thing really speaks for itself. What are we looking for? We are looking at the weekly ranges on the XRP price chart, and clearly this $1.80 range is going to be a very key level of support for the XRP community. We created a double top, right? And a lot of people who don't have the TA, if we get a weekly closure below $1.80, let me just say it like this is a very bearish setup. Now, if we get a daily closure above $1.90, $1.95 on Sunday, I'm talking about for the weekly close, that would be very bullish. So again, for the market, it's not make or break. But when you're looking at the XRP price chart, we are at some very pivotal ranges, and the data really speaks for itself. It has nothing to do with the sentiment of the market. Here's what Lark Davis had to say. This guy's got over 1 million followers. XRP is approaching a major multi-year support confluence. You've got strong horizontal support dating back years, weekly 100 moving average being tested, and high volume demand zone right below $1.80 to $2. Now, a weekly close below $1.80, according to Lark, would break this structure and confirm a large double top pattern on the higher time frame. It's exactly what I saw. I forgot I even read this tweet. It's exactly what I'm seeing on the XRP price chart. We need to see this momentum reverse, and a lot of that's going to start with Bitcoin. But I think as long as the bottom is in at that $1.80 range we experienced about a week ago, things are looking great for the XRP community. This would shift the bias sentiment to bearish if we close below $1.80. Now, live chat, I'm coming to you for a quick question. One's in chat if you believe we get a daily closure below $1.80 this week. Two's in chat if you think we get a weekly closure above $1.80. I'd love to hear. Shout out to our chat in the community. And I see we got another donation here from Richard. He said, let's go Buffalo Bills. Listen, for $10, I'll read that off the screen. I'll never say it with my soul, my friend. Shout out to the Patriots. He said, let's go XRP. And big thank you to Richard for the $10 donation. Greatly appreciated. $20 from No Gun Just Knives. Shout out to you. Interesting username there. $20 donation. Hello, Abs and the GEC team. Abs, you are a consummate crypto/blockchain consummator. Your humble and bipartisan reporting, attention to every human watcher, listener, and every nuance within your show are great gifts. Thank you. Thank you for that comment, man. Really appreciate it. That made my morning. I appreciate all the kind comments here. And you know what? I'm just grateful. I was thinking about this on my car ride before the show this morning. I'm so lucky that I have this platform of all these people who find the same topics interesting that I do. So shout out to you guys for having a similar mindset and enjoying this show. That's why I do it every single day. White collar trucker, shout out to the white collars out there, $4.99. Do you think BlackRock isn't doing an XRP ETF because they might be thinking of becoming an XRP treasury company like MicroStrategy for Bitcoin? Now, first of all, I love where your head is at because there's bigger things happening in the background when it comes to the BlackRock and XRP connection. What my speculation has been with BlackRock since the summer of 2024, so that's going on about 18 months now, is that BlackRock is actually focused on the tokenization of real world assets, partnering with Ripple to implement that on the XRP ledger. Now, we've seen some other broader connections where Ripple and BlackRock are both partnered with Ondo to implement a lot of these new strategies on XRP. But my anticipation is that as this market begins to grow and expand post Clarity Act, very important, we need the Clarity Act to pass before these assets can be rolled out at scale. That's when BlackRock will really be outspoken about their XRP narrative. There is something different happening here. I think everybody in our community can feel it. And I've played that clip so many times over the past week where Jake Claver said definitively, he's like, BlackRock and Fidelity will step in. And if there's anything that we know about Jake, it's that Jake has insight due to the conversations he's had behind the scenes that a lot of us simply don't have. And obviously that includes me here on Good Evening Crypto. Now, we did just pass 3,200 live listeners. If you're enjoying this content, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. It is greatly appreciated. Every single person who participates, showing up, commenting, hit the like button. We appreciate every single person who enjoys this program. Now, we are going to get into the breaking news for today, which is what? BlackRock, Van Eyck, all the big dogs have stepped into the market, and you're hearing that correctly. Starting tomorrow, which is now today, because this is a report from Bloomberg yesterday, starting today, Vanguard will allow ETFs and MFs, market funds, tracking Bitcoin and select other cryptos to begin trading on their platform. They cite how ETFs have been tested, performed as designed through multiple periods of volatility. It's exactly what we're waiting for. Well, what digital assets are they starting with? Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and the mic drop, XRP. And that began this morning, guys. And I'm going to show you all the updates here. But I want to give a big shout out to Bitwise. Their CIO is going to be joining this show on December 19th for an in-person interview. I believe that's going to be taking place at 11 a.m. on December 19th. Matt Hogan from Bitwise is going to be coming on this channel to answer all your questions, guys. If you got questions about XRP, about the ETFs, about what his vision is, he's going to be answering all those for our community. So big shout out to him. And we never pay anybody to come on the show. Somebody asked me, do you pay your guests? Never paid a guest, and I never will. But here's what Bitwise CEO had to say. Sign, you're in a bear market. The second largest brokerage in America just flipped its policy from sell only to allowing crypto ETFs for purchases. And nobody is fired up. Whether people are stoked right now or not, crypto is rapidly entering the mainstream. And why do I always highlight that on our channel? Because people are so focused on the short-term price action that we've been going through in the past month or so that they're underappreciating just how far we've come in the past year. Now, someone said, you're telling me Jake Claver came on the GEC show for free? Not only Jake Claver, every single guest I've ever interviewed has come on here for free. That includes Good Morning Crypto, guys. We don't pay our guests. That would be disingenuous. Now, here are some of the products that have already gone live on Van Eyck. All of the XRP ETFs are on Vanguard today. And I got to correct myself. I just said Van Eyck. I meant Vanguard. Every single XRP ETF that was live in America is live on Vanguard this morning. And you guys need to understand, as I do, that Vanguard is the second largest asset manager inside the United States. $11 trillion in assets under management. Just to give you some perspective on how big that is larger than 3 times the size of the entire crypto market today. 3 times the size of every single digital asset put together. That's still less than Vanguard has in assets under management. Somebody said, Abs is the Christian crusader, like a crypto superhero. Shout out to you guys. And I think that's a Zerka reference. Shout out to the Zerka community. Someone said, Abs, I would love to be a guest. Someone said, I did an hour-long interview with Conscious Crypto on my channel, as well as David Schwartz Astrology. Check it out and get me on, please. Now, I will be checking out your channel, Astro. I watched one of your videos about a week ago, and I did find it interesting. Now, guys, what does this mean for XRP investors, right? So I want to stay solely focused on this topic for just a moment here, and then I'll come back to the chat. Why is this important? 50 million new clients just got access to XRP ETFs. That is why that's so important. Not only does Vanguard have 11 trillion in assets under management, they have 50 million clients inside the United States. That is the type of mass expansion that we've been waiting for. Seven Dennis, shout out to you, a member and the $2 dono. I loved all of Verhoofdy's insightful questions for Jake. Shout out to that. Now, somebody said Jake commented on our show last night. Jake Claver gave props to Good Evening Crypto last night. Shout out to Jake. We always try to give credit to him as well. I want to give a big thank you to Charles. Now, he's a Steelers fan, guys, so thoughts and prayers to our man down here. You're due for mediocrity. That's just how it is in Steelers Nation. XRP is Godzilla. Hope Jake C wins all his bets, as we all do, guys. And somebody said, if you don't believe in Jake's narrative, why do you cover it so often? It's not that I don't believe in it. It's that someone said, you blew up my account with your trash advice. 18% accuracy rate. You're fake news, guys. I'm so happy I get to lose this. You know what I'd say to this guy?
Well, you don't know much about crypto. You know nothing about nothing. You're fake news.
Probably a good time to remind you all, I am not a financial advisor. I don't give financial advice. I'm just a guy on YouTube who covers crypto topics. I have a news channel. Consider me like a crypto journalist, right? All I'm trying to do is give you guys additional insight into the momentum of the market, where I think we're headed, and how I'm allocating my crypto portfolio to take advantage of the bull market that we're all a part of today. Now, again, what happened yesterday? Vanguard added every single crypto ETF product for XRP into their custody services yesterday. All XRP ETFs are on Vanguard today. You choose your fighter, said this user. And Chad has done a phenomenal job in covering a lot of the topics that we've been going through. I wanted to give you guys some insight onto the daily volume. So far in assets under management, the crypto spot products, sorry, not crypto, the XRP spot products in total have accumulated over $744 million worth of XRP since launch. Now, this is great for a couple of reasons. Number one, that is over 1% of the circulating supply of XRP. Number two, these products have only been live for 9 days, and we're already approaching $750 million in assets under management for XRP. Number three, we know that exchanges and OTC desks only have a certain amount of supply available to even offer to these ETF issuers. And the quicker that these ETF issuers eat through that supply, the quicker we can see the supply shock moment that we've all been waiting for. So a lot of things working in our favor. If you're new to the community and you're wondering, why are these ETFs so important? I've got an idea for you. check out Jake Claver's video talking about this from just a couple of nights ago, where he says there's a limited amount of XRP available on OTC desks and exchanges, and the ETF issuers are radically eating through that supply as we speak. Now, we did just pass 4,100 live listeners. If you're enjoying this content, especially on YouTube, show us some love. Smash that like button. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you for your patience this morning. I do apologize for my tardiness. Listen, typically 2, 3, 5 minutes late. That's okay. When you're running 10, 15 minutes late, I think an apology is due. I do respect your time and attention. And I do love the fact that people show up here excited to enjoy this content every day. And this is one of those legends, 1970s legend with the $50 super sticker in chat. Massive shout out to a legend, not only from the 70s, but in the Good Evening Crypto community as well. And this man earned his legendary status with his $500 dono that he gave a couple of weeks ago. Listen, I had a family dinner a couple of nights ago. We were talking about this donation. So shout out to the 1970s legend. My family recognizes your generosity as well. Pretty cool. Thank you so much for that donation, guys. It really does. I do appreciate all the support that we get on this channel. Now, again, what have I been highlighting for you guys? Major catalysts are on the horizon, but there's a black swan on the horizon as well. And I did some coverage on this during my short form content yesterday. MicroStrategies needs Bitcoin's success more than anybody else in this market. You think I'm rooting for XRP? MicroStrategy is rooting for Bitcoin at a whole nother level. But here's the black swan event that nobody's anticipating. MicroStrategy just told its investors 1 month ago they are willing to sell Bitcoin. Hear me again. MicroStrategies, who's for the longest time, for years, been saying we'll only buy Bitcoin. Our narrative is buy Bitcoin and hold it forever. That's our entire business model. Well, they admitted in this presentation here, they are willing to sell Bitcoin. 1's in chat if that makes you concerned. 2's in chat if you don't care about this. Here's why it's relevant. This coincides with their CEO just yesterday giving a really interesting interview saying we are willing to sell Bitcoin. I'm going to build on this and then we'll dive into the Vanguard topic. Here it is.
We can sell Bitcoin, and we would sell Bitcoin if we needed to fund our dividend payments below 1x MNAV. And that would be, by definition, if BTC yield is our North Star, right? And that's sort of what our key, our primary KPI is, just like earnings per share might be an important KPI for a traditional company. Then under 1x MNAV, it's more accretive to BTC yield to sell our Bitcoin to pay the dividends. And so we would do it in that case. Now, that said, right?
Real quick comment, guys. Why would a company like Strategy, which has no revenue model, promise dividends? Can somebody answer that question? If I was going to create an XRP treasury, why would I pay dividends? That's going to put additional pressure on my company to have profits in order to give to investors every single quarter. I'm not sure it's very applicable to what Michael Saylor established here with his business model. And of course, Michael Saylor, way smarter than me, way more accomplished, way more money, all that stuff. But I just don't get it. It doesn't make any sense when I look at it objectively. Why would they promise dividends every 3 months if they're not even a company that's bringing in a lot of revenue? Here's 20 more seconds.
As we speak, we have to look at liability management. Are there ways that we can raise capital above MNAV to pay for things below MNAV? So there are things that we think pretty long and hard about. Just like in 2022 during Bitcoin winter, we thought long and hard about what to do with our secured loan, our Bitcoin back loan. We decided to buy back our Bitcoin back loan at 80 cents on the dollar. We're pretty nimble.
That was
those kinds of things. That was Silvergate, yeah. And so now, as we're looking at Bitcoin winter, as we see our MNAV compressing, my hope is our MNAV doesn't go below 1. But if we did, and we didn't have other access to capital, we would sell Bitcoin.
But that would almost be a last resort.
That would be a last resort. And I think, look, there's the mathematical side of me that says that would be absolutely the right thing to do. And there's the emotional side of me, the market side of me that says, we don't want to really be the company that's selling Bitcoin.
So think about that, guys. He said it 3 different times in this interview. We are willing to sell Bitcoin. We're willing to sell Bitcoin. And I think it's the right thing to sell Bitcoin if this were to occur. Well, here's where it's interesting, and here's where it gets a little bit scary for MSTR and Bitcoin investors overall, is that he said if the MNAV is currently, if the MNAV trades below 1, they would be willing to sell Bitcoin. It's currently trading at a 1.13. Dividends are due in late December, guys. If Bitcoin doesn't begin to outperform, we are going to see MicroStrategy begin to offload Bitcoin from their balance sheet. And that could be the cascading effect that nobody is anticipating here in 2025. Mr. QX said, end of the year price prediction. Now, guys, I got no more insight than you do. I've been taking it through a step-by-step approach. So this is how I would say it, because there's a lot of caveats here. And if Jake Claver's theory plays out, obviously these predictions are totally thrown out the window. $4.50 is the first breakout range that I'm keeping an eye on. So I don't have any insight into how high could the XRP price pump. What I do have insight into is where are the dark pools? Where are the range of resistances? Where's the Fibonacci take us if we break all-time high? XRP getting to $4.50 after it gets a daily closure above $3.80. That is what I'm anticipating. Now, if we continue that momentum, the next range I'm going to keep an eye on, $6.20. The next range I'm going to keep an eye on, $8.40. The next range I'm going to keep an eye on, $12.30. So those are the ranges that I've come to when I'm just viewing this market kind of objectively and seeing where could we be over these next few months. Now, Bob, the XRP Bonanza, said, I love being a part of the XRP/GEC community every day. It keeps me stoic. Now, what's so great about this for XRP investors? Guys, XRP investors have a really unique emotional sentiment. Why? Because if we're right about this, congratulations, we just changed all of our family's lives. This isn't like investing in some, penny stock or betting on the success of Apple. If we're correct about our assumptions for XRP, if Ripple's vision for what the XRP ledger will become comes to fruition, we're all going to be dealing with amounts of wealth that's unprecedented, unpredicted, and maybe even changes the lives of our children, our family members, our parents. That's the possibility here. So being a crypto investor in general, I think people feel that, but the XRP community, you guys feel that more than anybody else. Now, if you're just joining today's episode, you're reading the breaking news correct. Vanguard has added XRP ETF for its 50 million clients. And if you're unfamiliar with Vanguard, they are the second largest asset manager inside the United States with over $11 trillion in assets under management. Here's the breaking news. Starting today, Vanguard, one of the biggest asset managers on the planet, will officially allow ETFs and mutual funds holding Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and Solana to trade on its platform. These said crypto ETFs have been tested and performed as designed through multiple periods of velocity. What's the translation here? The traditional giants finally trust digital assets. This is the moment we've been waiting for. Now, it's a slow onboarding process, but guys, if I told you 15 months ago, Vanguard, well, maybe for our community, you guys would get it. But for other communities, if I said Vanguard's going to add crypto ETFs next year, they would have said, get out of here, you idiot, right? Quite frankly, they would have said, get your head out of the euphoric clouds, come back to reality. There's no way that's going to happen. Here we are, XRP in the midst of a quote unquote pullback, maintaining $2. ETFs are live, Clarity Act coming, RLUSD past $1 billion. All these exciting things are happening as we speak. So what's really happening here? The traditional giants finally trust digital assets. XRP is moving from the sidelines straight into the portfolios of millions of mainstream and retirement investors who use Vanguard on a daily basis, and we're watching institutional adoption in real time. Ripple's ecosystem is scaling, and now the gates just got pushed wide open, guys. If you're excited about this, smash that like button. If you're not excited about this, leave a comment in chat. I'd love to hear some of your thoughts on what you guys are thinking. Somebody said MSCI is going to kick them off all indexes, all bad. Now, you guys, maybe I haven't done enough coverage on this on our channel, but JP Morgan is leading a war silently behind the scenes about Bitcoin. That's something our listeners should be aware of. I can do a deeper dive on tomorrow's episode because I got so much to get into today. We're already 28 minutes into today's show. If you're enjoying this content, smash the like button. Let me know some of your thoughts in chat. And I want to give a special shout out to every single member. You are going to be getting that Johnny Crypto Ice Bath video later on today. So if you're a member wondering, where's the Johnny Crypto Ice Bath? It is coming, my friends. But the other major topic that I shared with you guys for today's episode is that a major US bank just confirmed people should be investing 4% allocation into digital assets. What bank is that? Well, that's one of our favorites, guys. That is Bank of America. Bank of America, on the exact same day that Vanguard added XRP ETFs, just announced that they are advising their wealth clients to allocate up to 4% of their portfolio into crypto. You're hearing that correctly. Retirement portfolios, people who want to have a diversified approach, they are now being advised by Bank of America to allocate 4% into digital assets. Now, this is really exciting because it's not a small-time financial advisor. This is a near magnet level capital being told crypto is okay. And when a behemoth like Bank of America gives the go-ahead for high net worth individuals to start putting money into digital assets, it's not just Ripple, it's a new tide rising all boats. And that's a narrative that Brad Garlinghouse has said for years. More allocators equals deeper liquidity, more institutional ballots, less chance of freakish swings and dramatic volatility. The crypto is fringe mindset just lost another war, guys. Buckle up. This could quietly reshape the demand behind the scenes. Now, I'd love to hear from our live chat. One's in chat if you think the bull market continues. Two's in chat if you think we are in a bear market. Now, my belief is we are in a bull run. I've stated many, many times, I've been totally transparent about this. And of course, it's a guess just like anybody else's. But my guess is that we are in the midst of a bull market and we are sitting in that 35% pullback that Raoul Paul talked about nearly a year ago. He said prices will crash. Everybody will say it's over, but it won't be over. And why won't it be over? Because the debt cycle has been extended from 4 years to 5 years, and the Bitcoin bull markets coincide with this growth perfectly. So with that being said, I'm going to highlight this just very quickly. This is Raoul Paul sending that warning that I've been sharing time and time again. Everyone will say it's over, but it won't be over.
Hold on to your hats. Don't fuck this up. Don't lose control of your tokens. Don't use leverage. Don't get your wallet hacked. Just sit with it. Be careful. Don't get FOMO. Do all of the right things, and we'll go up to the next phase of correction zone. That's going to be harder because the next one that happens, we'll have a 35% drop, and you'll all say, "Is it over?" And you'll definitely be sure it's over. And everybody on Twitter will tell you it's over, and it won't be over. By our work, we suggest that because of the elongation of the business cycle, because rates were higher for longer, the forward-looking liquidity suggests that, again, probabilistically speaking, without any guarantees, this whole thing goes into Q1, maybe Q2 of 2026, which would align with Trump's, trying to win the midterms as well. So everything's lined up for us. I think it's...
So we're going to elaborate on this even further, guys, because again, you might just say, well, everybody has predictions. Why is his prediction valid that this is going to be a 5-year cycle and not a 4-year cycle? Well, here's the explanation. The 4-year cycle is now the 5-year cycle, and Bitcoin should peak in 2026, according to Raoul Paul. Here's why.
Why is Bitcoin sort of not wildly off to the races yet? And it's this chart. Bitcoin is basically, this is a detrended Bitcoin. And it's basically the ISM, which is the business cycle. Remember, we've always said it's the business cycle stupid. It is always the business cycle stupid. And all of these people who claim it's the 4-year cycle based around this and that, they don't understand the fundamental of what the business cycle is, why there's a 4-year cycle in everything. And we've explained it. We'll go through it in great detail tomorrow in our Everything Code presentation. But basically, it's following the ISM. And rates have been following the same pattern. You see, rates should have come lower. They need to come lower because we need to roll the debt. We've talked about this. That's part of the Everything Code, fundamental part. And ISM, because rates are so high, has meant that Main Street has been screwed while Wall Street's made money from debasement. Earnings versus scarce assets. This is the issue that they need to solve, and they need to get rates lower. They get rates lower. Why? Why do we have an elongated business cycle that looks like virtually no other real other time? It's because, and I only just found this out redoing the work on the Everything Code recently, is that in 2021-22, they actually extended the maturity of the debt from 4 years to 5 years. So that extension of the maturity of debt has pushed out the business cycle a year. The 4-year cycle this time around is a 5-year cycle. We don't know what the next one will be until we see where they all end up getting refinanced. Whether it comes back to 4 because they managed to get some stuff at the long end, or whether they shorten it because everything's in the short end. We don't know yet. But this one is a 5-year cycle. And this is what it looks like. 5.4-year sine curve. 5.4 years is the exact average weighted maturity of the debt. And it tells us the ISM should peak by 2026. We think liquidity probably peaks before that, as the rate of change of ISM changes and the rate of change of liquidity changes, our best guess remains well into 2026, probably Q2.
And that's
why is Bitcoin?
And that's what's so exciting for XRP investors in particular is that, yes, we're overly focused on a lot of the catalysts that we have working for our particular project, but predominantly for the time being, this market is driven by the price action of Bitcoin. And what Raul Paul just highlighted is that Bitcoin's price action is driven by the global liquidity cycles and the interest rates. And this chart correlates perfectly. Check this out, guys. I mean, if we're going through something similar here, the Bitcoin momentum that we're going to see in 2026 will be unprecedented. It's going to catch retail investors off guard. And if there's one thing I've learned from being in this market since 2019, it's that in general, retail gets it wrong, right? In general, when retail thinks we're in a bear market, stay away from these assets, prices go up. And when retail thinks we're in a bull market, things are pumping higher, assets go down. So again, that same cycle is what I believe is playing out here right before our very eyes in 2025. And someone said, shout out to Matthew, the decoupling is coming soon. I believe that as well. Now, here's where my fundamental difference is. I believe that XRP's decoupling event will take place during the bear market. I think that what's going to happen, we're going to get a euphoric moment in 2026. All asset prices are going to go through the roof. And remember, guys, we never got alt season. Projects like Cardano, even Solana and Ethereum, they either didn't break their all-time high or they barely broke their 2021 all-time high. XRP is the exception, but that's because it was hyper suppressed during the 2021 cycle. So if you look at a lot of these altcoins, none of them had their blow off top. None of them had their euphoric moment. We never had our social media campaign where everybody's talking about altcoins. You go into the grocery store and your cashier is talking about Dogecoin. That is typical bull market sentiment. Instead, we got something really different. We saw most people fearful, most people bearish, and they're stepping out of this market right now. They're stepping away. They're saying, crypto isn't what I thought it would be. I'll come back in a few years after this bear market. That's what us long-term investors love to see because, again, these are the indicators that we're not in a bear market. So pretty simple, doesn't take a genius to figure this stuff out. We do have 7,300 live listeners. If you enjoyed this content, shout out to you guys. Massive thank you. We passed 700 likes on today's episode. I am going to be traveling this week. I'm going to be in Florida starting Thursday and Friday. So we'll have daily shows, same type of content, but I'm not sure if that's going to mess up the rhythm of the episode. So totally transparent, always on this channel. We will have a show every single day this week. Just wanted to give you guys some insight. I'm going to be traveling. Now, the question that we asked you guys today, be sure to vote in our user polls always. I'm always going to make an effort to address them before the end of the episode. The question that we asked, does XRP pass $3 in 2025? 80% say yes, 20% say no. Believe it or not, I find myself in that 80% category. I believe that XRP will do the opposite of what retail is thinking. And as you guys can tell, Federal Reserve just changed how they're interacting. They went from quantitative tightening to quantitative easing yesterday. And look at what's happening in the markets. Bitcoin up nearly 6-7%. The Federal Reserve just pumped $13.5 billion into the US banking system overnight through repos. This is the second largest liquidity injection since COVID and even surpasses the peak .com bubble. Probably fine. Just carry on, right? So again, it's happening, guys. It's happening. It's happening. It's happening. I can't say it enough. Don't get tapped out. Stay resilient. Sometimes the best thing to do is just sit on your hands. Don't talk yourself out of this market. A lot of the catalysts that we've been talking about are happening before our very eyes. So I'm really excited about that. If you enjoyed this content, smash that like button. Someone said, how was the football game that you went to last night? And are you from New York? I am a Bostonian. They played the New York Giants last night. It was phenomenal. Guys, I thought I was going to be a hero and give my brothers a shortcut. I ended up driving the wrong direction. It turned a 40-minute trip into an hour-and-a-half trip. So I missed the opening kickoff, but it was okay because by the time we showed up, we got to see the majority of the exciting plays. There were some insane hits last night. I'm sure you guys, all the football fans out there, you saw that hit on their quarterback, Jackson Dart, I think his name is. He ran up the sidelines, got his head blown off right in front of me. It was ridiculous, guys. But I do want to give a special thank you. If you enjoyed today's content, smash that like button. Thank you for all the live donations. And again, you're going to get the same thing from me on this channel regardless. I'm a bull. I'm an optimist. I want to be realistic, but I don't see a bear market. If I thought we were in a bear market, I promise you this much, I'd come on this show and I would talk about that openly. I'd say, guys, I think we're in a bear market. Maybe I'm going to sell 20% of these assets. We've got these indicators working against us. That's not what I see. I see the opposite. I see excitement. I see euphoria. I see new money entering this market. And lucky for you guys, we're going to do it together. We'll all be here together. So if you enjoyed this content, Mario said, bear market incoming. I disagree. Now, Mario, I'm sorry I had to do it to you.
You don't know much about crypto. You know nothing about nothing. You fake news.
Fake news here on Good Evening Crypto. Of course, I'm just messing with my friend Mario, guys. If you enjoyed this content, once again, huge thank you. Smash that like button on your way out of here. We're going to continue to be here every single day on GEC. And trust me, guys, we're only going to get better, more accurate, and more optimistic. So we love you guys. We appreciate you all. Go out, enjoy the day. Hopefully it's nice weather wherever you are. And we'll see you all in the next one.
You're going to be so proud of your president, and I don't care about that. But you are going to be so proud of your country because we're going to turn it around and we're going to start winning again. We're going to win so much. We're going to win at every level. We're going to win economically. We're going to win with the economy. We're going to win with military. We're going to win with healthcare and for our veterans. We're going to win with every single facet. We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. See, the bottom line is...
Well, you don't know much about crypto. You know nothing about nothing. You fake news.
So if you're looking to implement the same strategies that we do here on Good Evening Crypto, I would encourage all of our listeners to click on the ITrust Capital link below and sign up to take advantage of tax-free crypto gains. Now, that's not the best part. By leveraging the ITrust link below, you're going to get a $100 free sign-up bonus to start funding your ITrust Capital account. This is going to give our listeners access to crypto assets in a Roth IRA product, allowing them to compound those gains tax-free until they're 59 years old and held these funds for 5 years. So a really unique advantage. And this caters perfectly to the Merlin community as well. Because one of the things that we always advocate for is having realistic expectations in the crypto market. And Merlin is the application that I like to use to design my profit plan. So if you're excited about the future of digital assets, I would encourage everybody, click on the Merlin link below, create your profit plan today, and then sign up for ITrust Capital so you can take advantage of those compounding gains